At 2:17 a.m., my phone lit the room and said I had one new voicemail that would be ordinary. Except the timestamp read July 12, 2008, the night before my father died, and the caller ID said Dad. I could put the phone face down and keep grief in the shape I'd taught it. Or I could press play and let it move. I pressed. "Hey, kid," he said, winded, almost cheerful. "If this lands where it should, it's the night before the big day." I wanted to say something without hospital lights. No matter what you ever learn about blood, the part that's mine is choice. There's a key in the Camry glove compartment, blue tape label says Riverbend. If I can't show you, go with gentle hands. Love you more than the miles. The long beep felt like a door, closing after someone you can still hear on the other side. I played it again until the words sat still. Then drove to our old house on Pine. The place belongs now to an art teacher with jars of brushes in the kitchen. I explained enough to be harmless. She handed me a magnet for the stubborn glove box and said, "Bring it back, honey," in the way strangers talk when grief and luck arrive together. The compartment stuck but opened, and there it was, a little silver key with blue tape. Riverbend in my father's blocky teacher handwriting. Riverbend self-storage sat, predictably, in a bend of the river. Unit E17 took the key like a sentence taking a period. Inside a folding lawn chair, a humming box fan, and a steel lockbox that looked like it kept secrets by union rule. The dial had a smear of the same blue paint he used at Christmas when ribbon ran out. I didn't know the numbers until my hand spun them. 71272, the date he joked, was the day the warranty on my common sense expired. The lid came up. Envelopes lay inside in tidy stacks, rubber bands the color of weak tea. Each labeled in his careful print for 17, for 18. For when I'm done being on the earth. I opened the last one the way you hold a small bird. "Kid," he wrote, "if you're holding this, the world outpaced me." Blood tells where a story starts. A father is who stays for the ending and the cleanup. I am not your blood. I am your father. They take turns driving. He listed the small lessons he always meant to teach. Check oil with a napkin, say no, without stapling an apology to it. Leave a place as you found it unless you can quietly fix something. At the bottom he'd added, if you want answers. I don't have, ask Evelyn on Maple, porch with the Coke bottle thermometer. She knows the beginning and loves you without taking anything from me. I sat on the concrete until my legs remembered how to be legs. Then I put the letters back, folded the lawn chair, and drove to Maple. The house had 2 rocking chairs, a porch fan that made heat behave, and the thermometer exactly where he promised. The woman who opened the door looked at me like a postcard that arrived late, but somehow still knew my name. "You're Sam," she said before I offered it. "You were almost Noah if your father had won that argument." She laughed toward an empty corner as if he were leaning there. She brought iced tea and a photo album that started with a fuzzy infant, shaped like a comma, and turned toward a kid holding a sparkler. She called my father by his first name and didn't apologize for it. "I kept my side quiet," she said. "Quiet was the price of the right family finding you. Quiet was not regret." Then she handed me a small cassette labeled for when he asks. I said I didn't have a tape player. She fetched one from the church rummage sale. The plastic smelled faintly of hymnals. The tape clicked in like a ritual, and my father's voice earlier than the voicemail. Boyish filled the little back room. "If you're with Evelyn, you know she's brave in a way the world underpays. She isn't a secret, she's a beginning. You don't owe anyone a performance. Decide whether facts are furniture or windows. If you want a window, open it." He told a story I hadn't known: paperwork and prayer and sleepless waiting, a social worker asking if they were sure. His answer: I've never been surer of anything smaller than the ocean. The tape word: if I miss any good parts, Promise me you'll have them without guilt. That's the point. Nothing in the world made a noise when it shifted, the math just changed. I drove home with the lockbox seat belted like a passenger and stopped at the lake, where my father used to lie on the hood and count satellites. I pressed play on the 2008 message again, and heard a sound I'd missed, the groan of our garage door. He'd recorded it under the pegboard, where the good tools hung higher than I could reach. The thought unbraced something inside me that had held for years, like a clenched jaw. In the weeks after, I didn't become a different person. I became a person with precise words. I read a letter after dinner like homework for the heart. I told my mother pieces and watched her learn a new way to watch me. As if letting me grow required a muscle you only find by using. We cleaned Riverbend together. I gave the fan to a neighbor because that quiet, useful kindness was my father's favorite definition of love. Then a man named Carlos from Topeka called to apologize on behalf of the universe, and explain that an old voicemail server being decommissioned had burped a handful of messages into the present, one of which was mine. He asked if I wanted a copy for records. I laughed. Records had already changed me. That night another voicemail arrived, also stamped July 12, 2008, shorter this time. Almost forgot, he said. Check the red coffee tin in the garage. Not money, calm down. Something better. It sounded like him. I baked a pie for the art teacher, and returned to Pine with a sheepish smile and a step stool. The tin sat above the water heater where we never kept coffee. Inside lay a small ring wrapped in tissue and a folded receipt for an engagement ring, dated 1987, with a note, bought the right one this time, and, in Sharpie on the bottom, tell him how we started. I brought it to my mother. She cried the way rain falls after a hard heat. Then she told me their origin story in one long breath: mistakes, bravery, paperwork. A room made bigger on purpose, and when she reached the part about the social worker, she said, "Your father wanted you to sit wherever you liked." And we laughed because of course he did. I took 2 bakery boxes to Evelyn. One for her, one for the rummage sale that saved our tape player. We sat on the porch while the day cooled. "Do you feel different?" she asked. "I feel like the same person in a house with more windows," I said. And she squeezed my hand like that was the only correct answer. Some nights I still play the first voicemail just to hear him say "kid" in that tone that puts me at every age at once. When it ends, I don't feel haunted, I feel escorted. I don't know how a message crosses years to find the right phone in the dark, but love does it without technology every day. Last week I bought jumper cables for the trunk and taught my neighbor how to use them. He asked, "Who taught you?" And I said, "My father," and felt no need to annotate. The world prefers tidy endings. I've learned a story can be whole without being tidy. I am not a puzzle that suddenly fits, I am a room with enough chairs. One is saved forever for a man who liked to drive at night and call from bird named exits and say "love you" more than the miles. When my phone lights now, I don't flinch at the date. I just answer.